and one of the organizers of the Flotilla. And Wright, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. And also to you, Rihab Charida. You are a documentary filmmaker, writer, and producer, but you are also on the media team of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wonderful talking with you, but very saddened that the flotilla hasn't yet been allowed to leave to take much, much needed aid to the people of Palestine. Welcome. Let's start with you, Anne Wright. How are you feeling this morning? You should have been outside of Gaza, uh, probably overseeing the aid being really, taken off the ships and making its way into Gaza. But you are still stuck in Istanbul. Bring us up to speed to why the situation is kind of almost stuck where it is.
Well, yes, we are disappointed that we're not in Gaza right now, but we will be in Gaza soon. What happened was that the flag country under which we had gotten flags for two of our ships suddenly on Friday notified us that they were going to take the flags away from our ships, and that meant that you can't move the ships. So it was a big scramble for us, and still is, to find other countries that can flag the ship. And we know for sure that the Guinea-Bissau decision was not just Guinea-Bissau. It was extreme pressure from the Israeli government and probably from the U.S. government also, because neither of those governments want this flotilla to leave and take aid to starving people in Gaza, to witness ourselves the genocide that's going on. And then the political purpose that we've had for the last 14 years is to break the illegal Israeli naval blockade of Gaza.
Okay, let's understand the importance or the significance of the issue around the flags that the flotilla needs to have a flag of a particular country to be able to set sail. And as you rightly said, we've also heard about the pressure being put on Guinea-Bissau to withdraw its flag from the ship. What's the significance regarding that matter? And then who are the countries who you believe may possibly come on board to allow their flag to be hoisted and allow the ship to make sail to Gaza?
Well, there are many countries that flag ships, and what we have to do now is to be very careful to make sure that we get a flag from a country that will not bend to the pressure of the United States or of Israel. We have a long list of countries that we are contacting to see if we can get flags from those countries. But the main thing is they have to be able to withstand what we know will be extreme pressure from Israel and the United States.
Okay, here's hoping South Africa comes to the fore. I'm speaking from South Africa, and we do know we as South Africans have been brave enough to take the genocidal occupiers, that is Israel, of course, to the ICJ. But let's cross over to you, Rihab Charida. We're also hearing talks about, and I must say I was very disappointed to hear about it this morning, that a lot of people who decided to join the flotilla are now thinking of making their way back home because in their minds they're thinking that this ain't going to happen. What are your thoughts?
One of the aims, I believe, of this kind of pressure and this kind of stalling is to deter people and is to deter participants. I'm part of the media team on the ground here, and we've been interviewing a lot of these participants that are leaving, as you mentioned, and I can assure you that nobody is deterred. We understand, I think a lot of people coming into this kind of work understand that there are going to be a lot of roadblocks, that it's not going to be easy, that Israel will go to all lengths to try and stop this flotilla from even leaving the shores from here, which we have seen with this issue with the flags. But people are leaving, but they are coming back when it's ready, and they plan to bring more people with them. And if the aim is to deter people, if the aim is to make people feel like giving up, I can assure you that this is not the case. In fact, the kind of regrouping that we're seeing, is very powerful. That, the support and the love that that the people have for each other has been quite powerful. And what unites everyone that has come here to be part of the flotilla is a very strong commitment to challenge the siege, especially in the context of what's happening currently. So during no other past flotilla mission has the situation in Gaza been as urgent as it is now. Every single day counts. So of course, we all feel very let down. We all feel very upset, not because it impacts our lives personally, but because every single day counts. The levels of starvation that we're seeing in Gaza, it's reached desperate levels. It was desperate, months ago. So we're all let down because we believe this mission is so important. But I can assure you, in terms of people's attitudes, a lot of people are upset, very upset by this decision, but all the more determined.
And let's bring you in again. And we do know the importance of this flotilla reaching the shores of Gaza. I think globally the whole world is aware of what is going on, but you do have the section of white supremacists who are not coming on board, who choose to close their eyes and ears to this genocide that is unfolding in front of their eyes, not thinking, not looking to the future and realizing the impact that these current decisions will have not only in the Middle East, not only on Gaza, not only on Israel, but the global implications are huge. In fact, I've just read a report the other day suggesting that, inshallah, when the madness ends, when the madness of these illegal occupiers ends, that just to clear up the rubble in Gaza City alone would take approximately, wait for this, approximately 14 years, 14 years to clear Gaza of all of the rubble. The question then to ask is what's going to happen to that rubble? We know what the impact is going to be on the environment, absolutely huge. And you kind of wonder if and when the madness stops, when and how are the Palestinian people going to get their lives back on track again? So I know we're moving slightly away from the question of the flotilla, but these are questions as well that we need to apply our minds to. And your thoughts?
Well, I've been in Gaza numerous times, starting in 2009 after the Israeli attack that killed 1,400 Palestinians. And the reason I went there was that I'd seen on television the level of destruction in Gaza City. And I was stunned by the level of destruction then. And now when you think, as you've mentioned, my goodness, it is just unbelievable how much the Israeli forces have just blown up everything. So it is going to be a big challenge. Once we can get the Israelis out of there, then the Palestinians are so resourceful. It's unbelievable how quickly they can begin working. But we've got to make sure that Israel never has an opportunity to do this again to the people of Gaza and the people of the West Bank. There's got to be an international condemnation of what Israel has done and some sort of a force that keeps Israel in line so that it never conducts these criminal, genocidal actions toward the people in Gaza and the West Bank.
And undoubtedly, when this ends, there are so many tyrants all around the world. There's so many people with this white supremacist mentality that sadly we might see something else playing out in another disadvantaged country in the world. But that, of course, is for another conversation. Rihab Charida, as a Palestinian yourself, how do you see the situation, the utter destruction of Gaza? And do you feel hopeful at all? Number one, for the current situation in Gaza, and number two, the flotilla eventually setting sail.
Well, I think on your first question, what we're seeing isn't new. The only thing new about what we're seeing is the scale. As a Palestinian, I can tell you, my village was destroyed, decimated. What with this decimation that we're seeing in Gaza now, my village was decimated 76 years ago. And there was a massacre in our village. So 28 members of my family were killed in that massacre 76 years ago. So as Palestinians, I can tell you that we have been decade after decade witnessing these kinds of atrocities. It's the scale that varies. The hope, where does the hope lie? The hope lies in the response of the world, the global response, the global outrage, the global grief, the outpouring of grief and the response of people around the world is what gives me hope, because people around the world have said no more, this is not acceptable, and are seeing the nature of the occupation for what it is. Israel has been trying to annihilate us as a people for decades. And finally, the world has woken up to that. Finally, the world has seen that. So this flotilla mission, for example, has brought together people from all around the world. Really, I've spent my last days interviewing a lot of these participants. So I'm on the FFC media team here on the ground. We've been interviewing a lot of these participants and people from all walks of life, such a diversity of people from different backgrounds, different religions or non-religion. And it's just, we're looking at the university campuses that have erupted with protests all over the world. That's where the hope lies, because only together can we break the siege of Gaza. The people of Gaza need the rest of us to step up, to demand from our governments, to add more pressure on our governments to stop Israel's criminality. The example of South Africa is a stunning example of diplomatic support on a state level, to try and stop Israel from committing its atrocities, because for so many years now, Israel has been committing grave injustices, violating every single human rights convention and international law conventions when it comes to occupation and these matters, and with impunity. So finally, we're starting to see the kind of pressure that's needed. We need more of it. We need to keep adding the pressure. We need global support for this flotilla mission, because in many ways, this flotilla mission represents not just those who are going to be on the boat, but it represents the global grief of watching this genocide unfold for 7 months. It represents, we've said before, we're taking the protests from the streets to the seas. And that global solidarity, that outpouring of love for the people of Gaza in the face of such violent destruction is the only thing that I think that keeps us going together. And together we can do this. In South Africa, part of the success in bringing down the apartheid regime had so much to do with global solidarity. Absolutely. And it's going to be the same, with Palestine. It's dependent on, this global solidarity, and seeing this come together, seeing so many people put so much of their, everyone that's come here to be part of the flotilla have put their lives on hold. They've left the comforts of their lives to participate in something that it's not risk-free. We know that there are risks, because every single flotilla in the past, except for the first one that went through successfully, but every single other flotilla was attacked in some way or another. So there are risks involved, and that people are willing to take these risks in order to challenge this siege brings an enormous amount of hope.
Rihab Charida, you're talking to us from Istanbul, and Wright, you are there as well. Let's go for our first ad break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion with much hope and support for the people of Gaza. Please stay with us. We have lots more to cover on the show right here on Salam Media this morning.
Media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Contact Lenasia Livestock and Poultry for all your sadaqah, akika and kurbani requirements. We offer clean, hygienic abattoir style and refrigeration facilities. Sheep, goats and cows are available at competitive market-related prices, direct to the public. We slaughter, slice and distribute on your behalf. But that's not all. Introducing Meat Masters Halal Butchery, our sister company situated on our farm in Lenasia. Unbeatable prices on lamb, beef and chicken. Lenasia Livestock and Poultry. Livestock is our business. We are Sanha approved. Telephone 011 857 1774. Call now.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. It is exactly 8:29 a.m. It is, of course, South African time. We are talking with two amazing ladies. They are based in Istanbul. Our first guest, or rather both the ladies, the first one being Anne Wright. She is a retired U.S. Army colonel and State Department official and one of the organizers of the Flotilla of Humanitarian Aid to Gaza. And our second guest on the show, Rihab Charida, is a documentary filmmaker, writer and producer. She is of Palestinian origin and she's on the media team, the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. We are talking about the delay, the fact that Israel's doing everything possible to prevent the aid flotilla from reaching the people of Gaza. And I think the entire globe is aware of the devastation playing out in that part of the world, the cruelty, the inhumanity regarding innocent children, women, and men being slaughtered and, of course, being starved in this open-air prison. And yet, the Israelis, I can't believe it, are not being humane at all. In fact, they refer to the people of Palestine as human animals. And I kind of wonder what kind of thinking and what kind of human beings are these to make such statements and to act with impunity the way they do. I've never ever in my life seen anything like this playing out. I can't believe that people can be this inhumane. But let's get back to our guests. And you are a retired US Army colonel and State Department official. You are one of the organizers. And I'm kind of wondering, when we see the type of support the US is giving to Israel, you having been in that political system, the American political system, what do you make of the support by the US to Israel? And of course, we do know that the US is one of the superpowers of the world. Surely, if they would give a very stern command to Israel to say stop, and it needs to stop now, it will and can stop. Why are they pussyfooting around the Israelis? What is at stake here for the US and the Israelis jointly?
Well, I think Joe Biden and his administration is actually jeopardizing U.S. national security. They will always say that, you know, Israel is the what is it, the aircraft carrier in the Middle East for which the U.S. can use as a platform for its policies in the Middle East, and therefore the U.S. must protect Israel. Well, it protects Israel from all of the criminal acts Israel's been doing, and this is coming back onto the U.S. Well, for decades, of course, the world recognizes that the U.S. protects Israel no matter what it does. But now with this genocide, this unbelievable, as you mentioned, just we cannot fathom that this is going on. This is really jeopardizing U.S. national security because the people of the world know what's going on. They see it with their own eyes, and they can't believe that Biden, who has the ability to stop sending weapons, stop sending money, and yet this last week, here was the U.S. Congress that passed $27 billion, some of it in aid. So you feed people and then you bomb them. So it doesn't make a bit of sense. And these chickens will be coming home to roost on the United States. There's just no doubt about it. And this thing of building a little pier out there and then airdropping, parachuting in food, it is just a pathetic addressing of massive starvation where hundreds of thousands of people are on the verge of death because of it. And the U.S. decides they will just parachute in a little food. There's more food on the aircraft carrier that sits right off Gaza. If the U.S. really wanted to help, they could move all the food that's on that aircraft carrier that those sailors are eating every day, 24 hours a day. They have a cafeteria that serves lobster, steak, ice cream, all of this. And yet right in the face of starving people. I know there are some young sailors on that ship that are going, man, we can't sit here and just let this happen. We're within sight of all of these people that are starving, and yet we have the biggest grocery store in the Mediterranean right here on this ship.
Rihab, your thoughts. We've got this flotilla ready to take much needed aid to the people of Gaza. Let's talk about the aid that is stuck at the Rafah border. That should never have happened. I mean, had that aid been allowed to go through unhindered, we wouldn't be sitting here today talking about the flotilla, would we? Rihab, did you get my question?
Hi, I lost you for a moment. I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you get my question, or shall I repeat? Okay, it seems as if Rihab is having difficulty in hearing what I have to say. We'll come back to her in a minute or two. Let's go back to you. And let me just check one more time. Rihab, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Did you get my question? No. Shall I repeat?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
Okay, my question
yes,
obviously has to do with the aid that is stuck at the Rafah border. Surely, if that was allowed to go through timelessly, from the time the aid trucks were parked there, piling up, we wouldn't be sitting today having this conversation about a flotilla. And it seems, did you get that question? Because I lost your picture for a minute there.
Yes. I got the picture. Sorry, I got the question about the aid that's stuck at the Rafah border.
Absolutely. Had that aid been allowed to go through, there wouldn't have been a need for the flotilla, or do you believe that need is so great that any and every opportunity to get aid to the people of Gaza is absolutely necessary?
Well, there's two parts to that question, really. So one is about the aid not getting in at Rafah. This is the result of deliberate starvation. The aid is there. There's enough aid at the border to be getting in, but the dripping of and not allowing most of that aid to flow is basically a deliberate decision based on, it's a deliberate starvation. This is part of the entire attack on Gaza, whether it's attacking from the air or attacking by simply not allowing the aid in. And people have been dying of starvation. And we're going to be seeing more of that because it's a deliberate attempt to annihilate people, whether through conventional warfare or starvation by the occupier. So on the question of aid, there's no question that this is a deliberate starvation on the part of Israel. The flotilla, it's absolutely essential. Yes, I think it is absolutely urgent that the flotilla is allowed through and to have safe passage and to land on the shores of Gaza to deliver the much needed aid. But the other part of the flotilla's missions or aims, if you like, is to break the siege of Gaza. Now, there's no reason other than the siege and occupation of Gaza that Palestinians are resourceful. Palestinians can provide for themselves. There's no question about that. Gaza has a very rich and long history that predates colonization. Khan Yunis is an ancient port with thousands of years of history and commercial trade. And it was a thriving place. Gaza was a thriving place pre-colonization. And there's no reason why Palestinians cannot provide for themselves apart from occupation and siege, and especially since the siege was imposed on Palestinians by Israel. So part of our mission really is to break the siege, is to alert people in the first place that there is a siege going on in Gaza, that this siege is crippling, it has a crippling impact on the development of people in Gaza, of the development of society. When you look at the list of things that are not allowed into Gaza, it's mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing. I mean, how doctors are operating without necessary medical anesthetic, for example. I mean, as many people know, doctors are having to amputate limbs without anesthetic. This is unimaginable that children have to go through this. So it's criminal. It's cruel. When you think about the impacts of this siege, that's completely deliberate. It's not an accident. It's not a byproduct of anything else. It's a direct policy to starve, to make life impossible. I mean, there are things on the list that are not just life-saving. There are things that, for example, chocolate croissants. Chocolate croissants is on the list of banned items going into Gaza. They just make no sense. But when you think about them and consider them, they're really just about depriving Palestinians of a normal life, depriving Palestinians of the ability to live like any other people, to be free like any other people. And the last thing I'll say about the flotilla, it's about breaking the siege, but it's also about Gaza. The people in Gaza have the right to welcome people from around the world. This siege and this blockade does not just stop people from Gaza accessing the world, but it's stopping the world from accessing Gaza. People in Gaza that we are speaking to on the ground, we're looking forward to this flotilla arriving, and we're looking forward to welcoming the flotilla on their shores. And it's their right to. It's the right of Palestinians in Gaza to welcome others from other parts of the world, just like any other people. So there are so many layers to this siege, which has resulted in a situation where Palestinians are in need of so much aid. And as a result, yes, we do think it's urgent, absolutely urgent. While we watch on our screens children starving to death, absolutely getting the aid, this necessary aid is absolutely urgent. It's sitting there right now in a port when there's people starving and it could be reaching them. But it's also absolutely necessary and urgent to challenge this siege, to break this siege, and to allow Palestinians to be able to build some semblance of a normal life.
And I guess the big question is, where is our humanity? That is the all-important question. We need to go for an ad break, but Anne, I'm going to leave you with this question, and when we get back, I'd like your response on it. We understand that hundreds of people were arrested at college campuses across the US on Saturday as student protests against the war in Gaza continues. This is not only in the US, but all around the world, but particularly in the US. I'd like your response to that as soon as we get back from the ad break, so please stay with us.
This is Salam Media.
Yasin Badat Financial Advisory. Are your financial goals feeling out of reach? Yasin Badat Financial Advisory is here to turn your aspirations into achievements. Our dedicated team, armed with a history of success, is ready to guide you through the complex nature of financial and investment planning. Whether you're a seasoned investor or new to the game, our personalized solutions cater to your unique goals and risk appetite. Trust in our commitment to transparency, integrity, and excellence. Ready to unlock a world of financial freedom? Partner with us today. Call Yasin Badat Financial Advisory at +27 33 346 2071 or visit www.yasinbadat.com. Yasin Badat Financial Advisory, guiding you to financial success.
Send food and send kindness to those who have lost their homes and have been plunged into poverty. For those who are a meal away from starvation, a food parcel means an entire family can eat this Ramadan. That's the power of food. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Approximately 2/3 of the population of Yemen are in severe need of humanitarian aid. With Ashraful Aid, you can make a difference. For just 700 rands, you can provide a hamper to a family in need. Visit our website today at www.ashrafulaid.org.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, buckies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back, and we are going to be wrapping up the interview in a minute or two with two very, very amazing ladies. They are, of course, Rihab Charida, Palestinian. She is a documentary filmmaker, and Wright, a retired U.S. Army colonel and State Department official. And I can't help but smile when I say that. Look where you are today, and holding up the flag for the freedom of oppressed peoples, not only in Palestine, but I should imagine all around the world. Would you please respond to that question before the ad break regarding the uprising of students, particularly in the United States? Is that going to be the beginning of the tide turning in favor of the Palestinian people?
Well, certainly the enormous protests that are going on in all the major campuses of universities in the United States is really extraordinary. It is so good. And these young people are saying to their administrators, their university administrators, and to state level governments and national level governments that we will not take what you've been doing, which is ignoring this genocide. And we are going to be bringing it right into your face, right into your offices. And the brutality that they've been faced with, though, is just, it's unconceivable in a way that here, these are peaceful kids that say, listen, you've got to stop U.S. funding for a genocide and stop the starvation. And yet they get beaten up on these campuses. It's kind of like going back to the Vietnam War. Pretty soon, the things will change around. But right now, the administrations are saying, well, you kids, you can't have tents on the campus, you can't have protests, and the numbers of Students for Justice in Palestine organizations on universities that have been thrown out of the university is just, it's outrageous what's going on. And then that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says to Biden, you've got to crack down on these kids that are protesting against Israel. So, it's amazing what's happening, but the kids aren't backing down, and Biden is probably going to lose the election on this issue alone.
And I kind of wonder, post the elections, if Trump does come in, is the situation going to be better or worse? But I guess we'll have to wait and see. You mentioned Vietnam. I think the veterans that are still alive today, post the Vietnam War, they have suffered unbelievable mental health issues and other issues. There's also people grappling with post-Afghanistan. I kind of wonder what's going to happen post-Palestine. The world's never going to be the same again. And sadly, the West is going to be haunted for a long, long time, many, many generations to come. They are going to be haunted by these atrocities, much like the Germans post the Holocaust. But let's come to you and wrap up, Rihab. I've been hearing Western politicians suggesting that Israel has a right to defend itself against terrorists. And they're calling Hamas a terrorist organization, thus probably labeling all of Palestine as terrorists. How do you, as a Palestinian person, respond to something as outrageous as that, knowing that your land was stolen, your human rights have been taken away from you, and you as a people are being trampled into the ground in the most inhumane way possible?
I believe that, if we just, resort to international law and use that as our guide, because I think that, international laws have come out as a result of, injustices and, basically it's the occupied people have a right to resist occupation. It's recognized internationally, and, this is often, not included in the equation. If you look at most of the targets of the Palestinian resistance, they're mostly, Israeli military. The same can't be said for Israel, and their colonial aggression is aimed mostly at the destruction of people and civil infrastructure. That's what we've seen. We've seen an absolute destruction And, Israel talks about, on the one hand, having, weapons of pinpoint accuracy. And we know that they have, some of the most technologically advanced weapons, the most technologically advanced, warfare that we're seeing being used in Gaza. And in fact, their weapons are sold internationally on the global market on the basis of they've been tried and tested. But they're being tried and tested on the bodies of babies, of children. And this is not self-defense. It's clear, and I think that's what's changed, and I think that's why, going back to what we talked about this global outrage that we're seeing, people can see with their eyes. It doesn't take an expert. It doesn't take, you don't have to be a military analyst to understand that what Israel is doing is not self-defense. It's attacking children and people. I just read something today that, if you were going to attend a funeral for every child that's died in Gaza in this latest attack, it would be something like 40-something years. You would have to go attend a funeral for every day for the next 40-something years. This is atrocious. If this is what self-defense looks like, I mean, people are not stupid. People, are not fools. And I think that Israel is relying on people's ignorance. But due to so many factors, the internet, social media, so many factors where people are seeing with their own eyes, the thing about genocide is that it looks like genocide. And, I think that these excuses or these lies, not excuses, these lies of self-defense, people are seeing through them now in ways that they never used to before. So I don't think, you said before that the world will never be the same again. I don't think Israel can come back from this. I don't think that they can go back to some kind of normal where these lies can be accepted. People are not stupid. People can't be fooled, they can be fooled for so long. Not all the time. You can't fool all the people all the time. That's right. Bob Marley told us that many years ago.
Absolutely.
But so I think that this whole the way in which it's been framed, we're past that point. We all know this isn't self-defense. We all know this is colonial aggression. At the same time that they were bombing and destroying and attacking entire families, entire communities. One of the oldest mosques in the world was destroyed, with some of the oldest Islamic manuscripts in the world. This isn't just Islamic history. This is human history that's being attacked. So nothing is sacred, under these attacks. It's all, being, everything and anything is a target in Gaza. And we've seen that, the devastation, the destruction, the scale of the destruction. We know that it's going to take decades to rebuild Gaza. Even if there was a ceasefire today and the building started today, it would take decades. That's not to mention the loss of life, and so it just can't be framed as self-defense anymore. And thankfully, so many people around the world can see that. And that's why there's been such a strong movement to try and, push back and to put pressure to kind of change the situation.
And that's where we're going to leave it. It's been wonderful talking with you under very, very difficult circumstances, Rihab. I do value your input. And we're going to wrap up now. Your final thoughts regarding the success of the flotilla. What is, what are your thoughts going forward? Is it still going to happen? When do you believe it's going to happen? Within the next few days, few weeks? Please, God, if it doesn't happen, what happens to all of that aid? If you can give me a quick, short, sharp answer on that question.
Well, we will sail. There's no doubt about it. The timing will be in probably a few weeks. We don't have an exact date. But yes, we will sail. We are opening up the registration again for even more people to become participants on it. And we intend to sail, break the Israeli blockade of Gaza, and take food to help starving people and bring the spotlight onto the criminal acts of the state of Israel and the United States in the genocide of Gaza.
God bless you both and everybody involved in the flotilla. We are making lots and lots of du'as, inshallah, that it happens and it happens real soon. And undoubtedly, we are going to have many more conversations regarding the situation going forward. Thank you once again. Keep safe, ladies. And assalamu alaikum to you both.
Alaikum salam. Thank you.
Thank you.
The time is exactly 8:56. News and views on Salam Media. In a short while, we will be taking one of two issues. That will be the news on the top of the hour. And we are also going to be talking with Zukiswa Wane, but I think that will be after the news regarding Week 4 Palestine, a yearly international occasion. So we'll talk with her in a couple of minutes' time. Please stay with us. This is News and Views on Salam Media.